Before we begin, please note that the information provided in this presentation is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not intended as and shall not be understood or construed as professional, career, or financial advice. The content is based on general principles and case studies and does not take into account your personal circumstances. You should consult with a qualified professional before making any significant career or financial decisions. Your reliance on any information in this video is solely at your own risk. It's Sunday night. That familiar, heavy feeling starts to creep in. The weekend, which felt like it just started, is over. And tomorrow morning you have to go back to that job. The one that pays the bills, the one you've been doing for 10, maybe 15 years. The one you're good at. But it doesn't light you up anymore. In fact, if you're being really honest with yourself, it's draining the life out of you. You look at the clock, you look at the calendar, and you do the math. You're 40, maybe 42, maybe 38. You're at the halfway point. And the thought of doing this, exactly this, for another 25 years feels like a prison sentence. If that sounds familiar, you are not alone. Not by a long shot. A recent study by the American Institute for Economic Research found that nearly half of all U.S. workers are interested in changing careers. And the peak age for making that change? It's right around 39. So that feeling in your gut? That's not a midlife crisis. It's a mid-career awakening. It's the moment you realize your first career might have been a dress rehearsal for your real one. But right after that realization comes the flood of fear. Doesn't it? The voices in your head get loud. I'm 40 years old, I can't just start over. I have a mortgage. I have kids who need braces and college funds. All my experience is in this one field. Who would hire me for something new? I'd have to go back to school, take a massive pay cut, and compete with 25-year-olds who have more energy and fewer responsibilities. It's just too late. I missed my chance. Let's stop right there. I want you to take every single one of those fears, acknowledge them, and then we're going to systematically dismantle them. Because here's the truth they don't tell you. Making a career change at 40 isn't a disadvantage. It is your single greatest competitive advantage. 40 isn't the new 20. For a career change, 40 is better than 20. You have assets a 22-year-old couldn't even dream of. Let's call them your 40 superpowers. First, you have 2 decades of real-world experience. Not just in your job, but in life. You know how to navigate office politics. You know how to manage a difficult boss. You know how to lead a team, solve a complex problem under pressure, and communicate with difficult clients. These aren't line items on a resume. They are deeply ingrained skills that employers in any industry are desperate for. They're called soft skills, but in reality, they are the hardest, most valuable skills to acquire. Second, you have a network. For the last 20 years, you've been unintentionally building a web of contacts. Former colleagues, clients, vendors, college friends, neighbors. You might think your network is only relevant to your current industry, but that's a huge mistake. The person you worked with 10 years ago might now be a director at a company in the exact field you want to enter. Your LinkedIn profile isn't just a resume. It's a goldmine of potential opportunities. Third, you have self-awareness. 22, you're guessing what you might like. You're chasing a salary, a title, or what your parents thought was a good idea. 40, you have data. You have 20 years of data on yourself. You know what you love, but more importantly, you know what you hate. You know your non-negotiables. You know if you thrive in collaborative teams or prefer to work alone. You know if you need a mission-driven company or one that offers a better work-life balance. This self-knowledge is the ultimate compass, guiding you not just to another job, but to the right job. And finally, you likely have some degree of financial literacy and stability that a recent graduate doesn't. It might not feel like it, but you've managed budgets, maybe bought a car or a house, and you understand the value of a dollar. This allows you to plan a transition strategically, not desperately. Let me tell you about a client of mine. We'll call her Sarah. Sarah was 41, a senior marketing manager for a consumer goods company in Chicago. She was successful, respected, and miserable. The endless cycle of product launches and quarterly reports felt meaningless. She dreamed of doing something more creative, more impactful. She was fascinated by how people used websites and apps, but felt completely unqualified to work in tech. The jargon UX, UI, Agile, Scrum felt like a foreign language. Her fear was immense. She told me, "I'm a marketing person. I write PowerPoints. What do I know about designing an app?" But we didn't start with coding boot camps or technical jargon. We started with her superpowers. We looked at her marketing experience. What was she actually doing for 15 years? She was obsessing over the customer. She conducted focus groups, analyzed consumer behavior, and tried to understand what people wanted before they knew they wanted it. We reframed it. She wasn't a marketing manager. She was an expert in user empathy and behavior. That's the absolute core of user experience or UX design. Instead of quitting her job and enrolling in a full-time $50,000 program, she started small. She took a few highly rated online courses in the evenings. She started offering to help other departments at her current company with projects related to their website, just to get some hands-on experience. She used her network, reaching out to a former colleague on LinkedIn who had moved into tech, just for a 20-minute coffee chat. That one coffee chat led to another, which led to a small freelance project. For that project, she used her superpower of project management to deliver on time and under budget. The client was thrilled. 9 months after that first, "I can't do this" conversation, Sarah accepted a full-time position as a UX strategist at a growing tech firm. She took a slight initial pay cut, but with a clear path to making more than she did before within 18 months. The best part? She told me she felt alive again. She was solving problems she cared about, using a combination of her old skills and her new ones. Sarah's story isn't a miracle. It's a method, and that is exactly what this is all about. This isn't just a motivational talk. This is a step-by-step, practical guide to engineering your own career change at 40 and beyond. Over the course of our journey together, we are going to walk through that exact method. We're going to start by building your foundation, a deep, honest assessment of who you are and what you truly want, not just what you think is possible. From there, we'll explore the high-growth industries in the US that are actively hiring and valuing mature professionals. We'll break down how to gain the exact skills you need without going back to college for 4 years or taking on crushing debt. We'll transform your resume from a history of your old career into a powerful marketing document for your next one. And finally, we'll master the art of the interview, showing you how to turn your age and experience from a perceived liability into your greatest weapon. The goal is to replace fear with a plan, to replace uncertainty with action. The next 25 years of your working life don't have to be a repeat of the last. They can be the most fulfilling, exciting, and rewarding years of your entire career. The only thing standing between you and that reality is a roadmap and the courage to take the first step. The question isn't if you can do this. The question is, are you ready to start? What's the single biggest fear or question on your mind right now when you think about making a change? Be honest. Drop it in the comments below. Let's begin. The comments are already flooding in, and I see the same themes over and over. I'm afraid I'll lose my financial security. What if I fail and have to crawl back to my old job? I don't even know where to begin. I feel completely lost. I'm too old, no one will hire me. Every single one of these fears is 100% valid. They're not just in your head. They are the real, tangible dragons you have to face at the gate of any major life change. And the biggest mistake people make is trying to ignore them, or worse, trying to find a new job before they've dealt with them. That's like trying to build a skyscraper on a swamp. It might look good for a little while, but eventually the foundation will crack and the whole thing will come sinking down. So our first real step together isn't to frantically scroll through job boards or rewrite your resume. Our first step is to build a foundation of solid rock. We're going to conduct a personal audit. This is the most critical phase, the one that separates a successful, fulfilling career change from a desperate leap into another job you'll end up hating in 2 years. Let me tell you about Mark. When Mark was 42, he had what everyone considered a good job. He was a regional sales manager for a mid-sized manufacturing company. He had a corner office, a company car, a 6-figure salary, and a team that respected him. On paper, he was the American dream. But every Sunday night, a knot of dread would form in his stomach. He'd stare at the ceiling, thinking about the Monday morning meeting, the endless spreadsheets, the pressure to hit quarterly numbers for a product he no longer believed in. He felt like he was acting in a play, and he'd forgotten his lines. The fear of leaving was immense. He had a mortgage, 2 kids approaching college age, and a lifestyle that depended on that steady, reliable paycheck. The fear of staying, however, was becoming a quiet, soul-crushing certainty. He was suffocating. Mark's first instinct was to look for another sales manager job at a different company. It's what we all do, right? We look for the familiar. We think, maybe it's just this company, this boss. But that's rarely the root of the problem. That's just treating the symptom. We have to dig deeper. This brings us to the first part of your personal audit, the why excavation. You have to go beyond, "I hate my job." That's a starting point, not a destination. We need to find the specific, granular reasons. I want you to use a technique engineers use to find the root cause of a problem. It's called the 5 whys. It's simple. You state the problem and then you ask why 5 times. So for Mark it went like this. Problem: I hate my job. 1. Why? Because I feel stressed and unfulfilled all the time. 2. Why do you feel stressed and unfulfilled? Because my entire day is spent chasing numbers and putting out fires, not creating anything of value. 3. Why does that make you feel unfulfilled? Because I used to love building things, solving complex problems. Now I just manage other people's problems. I'm a professional email forwarder. 4. Why is building and solving problems so important to you? Because when I'm creating something, whether it's a piece of furniture in my garage or a new system to make something work better, I feel energized. I feel like I'm using my brain. 5. Why does using your brain in that way feel so good? Because it connects me to a sense of purpose. It feels like I'm leaving a mark, making something better than I found it. Boom! Right there. In 5 questions, Mark went from I hate my job to I need a career where I can creatively solve problems and build things to feel a sense of purpose. Do you see how much more powerful that is? It's no longer about escaping something negative. It's about moving towards something positive. Your turn. What's your why? Don't just think about it. Write it down. Go through the 5 whys. It might feel a little awkward, but the clarity you'll gain is priceless. Once you know your why, we move to the second part of the audit, the what inventory. This is where we combat that pervasive fear that you have nothing to offer, that you're a one-trick pony. At 40, you are not a blank slate. You are a library of experiences, skills, and wisdom. But most of us are terrible at reading our own book covers. We only think of the skills listed on our job description. Mark thought he was just a sales manager. His skills were forecasting, team leadership, and negotiation. But I had him do an exercise I call the life skills audit. For 1 week, he wrote down everything he did, both at work and outside of it, that required a skill. The list surprised him. At work, yes, he managed a team. But what did that actually mean? It meant conflict resolution, mentoring junior employees, public speaking in front of 200 people, detailed budget planning, and long-term strategic thinking. Outside of work, he coached his daughter's soccer team. That's leadership, motivation, and logistics. He planned the family's complex, multi-leg vacation to Europe. That's research, project management, and budgeting. He had taught himself how to use complex woodworking tools to build a deck. That's technical learning, precision, and following complex instructions. Suddenly, Mark wasn't just a sales manager. He was a project manager, a mentor, a public speaker, a strategist, and a technician. You have these skills too. You've been accumulating them for 20 years. You've managed household finances, negotiated with contractors, planned community events, taught yourself a new software for a hobby. These are not soft skills. They are life skills, and they are massively valuable and transferable. Your task is to become an archaeologist of your own life. Dig up these hidden treasures and write them all down. No skill is too small or too obvious. This leads us to the third and final piece of the personal audit, defining your non-negotiables. This is where you draw your lines in the sand. A career change isn't just about finding work you love. It's about building a life you love. So what are the absolute unshakable criteria for your next chapter? This is not a wish list. This is your personal bill of rights. Maybe it's a salary floor. I will not consider any opportunity that pays less than X, because you've done your budget and you know what your family needs. Maybe it's location. I must be able to work remotely at least 3 days a week. Or I will not accept a job with a commute longer than 45 minutes. For Mark, after his why excavation, a huge non-negotiable became my core work must involve building or improving a tangible product or system. Another was, I need to be home for dinner with my kids at least 4 nights a week. These non-negotiables act as a powerful filter. They protect you from shiny objects. They prevent you from getting 6 months into a new job and realizing you've just traded one golden cage for another. They are your compass. When you're lost and confused by all the options, you can look at your list of non-negotiables and it will immediately tell you which way is north. Be ruthless here. What are the things you are no longer willing to sacrifice? Health? Family time? Your sense of purpose? Write them down. Now, with this foundation, your deep why, your comprehensive what, and your firm non-negotiables, you can finally address that monster of a fear. I'll have to start over at the bottom. This is the biggest myth of career changing at 40. You are not starting over. You are pivoting. You are taking 20 years of professional and life experience and applying it in a new direction. Mark didn't have to go back to school to become an entry-level coder. He looked at his life skills audit and saw project management written all over it. He saw his love for building things. He started researching roles in the tech industry not for coders but for people who manage coders. People who can translate customer needs into technical requirements. People who can manage budgets, timelines, and personalities. His 15 years as a sales manager made him an expert in exactly that. He wasn't starting from zero. He was leveraging his past to launch into his future. He took an online certification in Agile Project Management, a 6-month course, not a 4-year degree. He then framed his resume to highlight his project management experience, not his sales quotas. He landed a job as a project manager at a software company, taking a small, manageable pay cut, but gaining an immense amount of personal fulfillment. He didn't start at the bottom. He entered from the side, at a level that respected his 2 decades of experience. This is the power of a proper foundation. Before you look at a single job listing, you have to do this internal work. You have to know what you're running toward, not just what you're running from. You have to know the full arsenal of skills you possess, not just the ones on your old business card. And you have to know what you will and will not compromise on. This is your homework. Don't just listen to this. Do it. Take out a notebook. Title the first page, My Why Excavation. The second, My Life Skills Audit. And the third, My Non-Negotiables. This document will become the blueprint for your entire career change. It's the most important work you will do in this whole process. Because once you have this clarity, once you truly understand yourself and what you bring to the table, the entire landscape changes. The fear doesn't vanish, but it shrinks. It's no longer a terrifying dragon. It's a lizard you can step over. Because you're no longer lost in the woods. You have a map, you have a compass, and you know your destination. Now that we've looked inward and built this foundation, our next step is to start looking outward. How do we take this personal blueprint and match it to the real world? How do we explore industries and roles you've never even considered? And find the ones that are not only fulfilling but are also growing and financially viable? That's where the real adventure begins. And that's exactly what we're diving into in the next part. This first phase of exploration isn't about finding a job listing and firing off a resume. Forget that for a moment. This is about becoming a detective in your own life. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to gather intelligence. We're going to use a 2-pronged attack. First, we cast a wide net to see what's even possible. And then we use a laser focus to investigate the most promising leads. Most people make a critical mistake here. They think of 1 or 2 acceptable new careers, maybe something a friend does, and they fixate on them. But that's like walking into a library with thousands of books and only looking at the shelf right by the door. The perfect story for you might be 3 aisles over, in a section you didn't even know existed. So we start by casting that net wide. Your first tool is your keyboard, but we're going to use it strategically. Go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics Occupational Outlook Handbook. I know it sounds like the most boring website on the internet, but think of it as a treasure map. You can search for jobs by median pay, required education level, and most importantly, projected growth rate. You want to find industries that are expanding, not contracting. This is about skating to where the puck is going, not where it's been. Spend an hour just clicking around. Don't judge anything yet. Make a list of any job title that sparks a tiny bit of curiosity, even if you don't know what it is. Logistician? Instructional designer? Solar panel installer? Write it down. The goal is volume, not quality at this stage. Next, you're going to turn LinkedIn into your personal research lab. Use the search bar to look up companies you admire or industries that seem interesting, like renewable energy or edtech. Then, click on the People tab. Now you can see the real career paths of real people. Look at their job titles. What did they do before this? Where did they go to school? You'll start to see patterns. You'll discover roles you've never heard of. You might see a marketing director from a company like yours who is now a head of customer success at a software company. You'd think, what is customer success? Now you have a new clue to investigate. This isn't about comparing yourself to them. It's about learning from their journey. Now that you have a raw, messy list of possibilities, it's time to switch from casting the net to using the laser. This is where the real magic happens, and it's a technique that separates a successful career change from a frustrating one. It's called the informational interview. This is your single most powerful weapon. It's a simple 20-minute conversation with someone who is already doing the job you're curious about. But here's the key. You are not asking for a job. You are asking for their story. People love to talk about themselves and what they do, especially if you approach them with genuine curiosity. Your network is bigger than you think. Start with friends, family, and former colleagues. Post on your private social media. Hey everyone, I'm doing some career exploration and I'm curious to learn about the field of UX design. Does anyone work in that field or know someone who does who might be willing to chat for 15 minutes? You will be shocked by the response. When you get someone on the phone or on a video call, your goal is to understand the reality of their day-to-day life. Don't ask, do you like your job? That's a yes or no question. Ask powerful, open-ended questions like, what does a typical week actually look like for you? What's the most challenging part of your role that people don't see from the outside? What's the one skill you rely on every single day? And here's the golden question. If you were me with a background in your old field, what steps would you take to explore this field further? Let me tell you about a case study a woman we'll call Jessica. Jessica was 43 and had been in hospitality management for 2 decades. She was burned out by the long hours and weekend work. She thought maybe she could go into corporate event planning. Seemed like a logical step. But she did 3 informational interviews. The first person, a corporate planner at a big bank, told her the pressure was even higher and the bureaucracy was draining. The second, at a tech company, said the fun creative parts were only 10% of the job. The rest was budget spreadsheets and contract negotiations. The third person, however, listened to Jessica's story about loving to create amazing guest experiences and said, you know, you're not describing event planning. You're describing what a workplace experience manager does. Our company just hired one to improve office culture and employee happiness. Jessica had never heard of that role. A few more informational interviews in that specific field, and she found her perfect fit. The interviews didn't just give her information. They gave her a whole new, better destination. While you're gathering this human intelligence, it's also time for some low-risk test drives. You wouldn't buy a car without driving it first, so why would you commit to a new career without trying it on for size? This is about getting a real feel for the work before you make any drastic moves. Your first option is online learning. For less than the cost of a nice dinner out, you can take an introductory course on almost anything. Curious about graphic design? Take a beginner's course on Canva or Adobe Illustrator. Thinking about data analysis? There are countless SQL for beginners courses. The goal isn't to become an expert overnight. The goal is to answer one simple question. Do I actually enjoy the fundamental tasks of this work? If you fall asleep halfway through the intro video, that's valuable data. If you find yourself working on the lessons late at night because you're genuinely fascinated, that's even more valuable data. Next, consider a micro-project. You can use platforms like Upwork or even tap into your local community. If you're exploring copywriting, offer to rewrite the About Us page for a local nonprofit for free or for a small fee. If you're interested in project management, volunteer to help organize a community fundraiser. These small-scale projects do 2 things. They give you a tangible taste of the work, and they give you a portfolio piece and a real-world story to tell in future interviews. Think of Mark, a 39-year-old accountant who was intrigued by the idea of becoming a financial advisor. He thought it was all about picking stocks and analyzing markets. As a test drive, he volunteered through a local organization to provide free, basic financial literacy coaching. He helped a few families create their first budget. What he discovered surprised him. He hated the paperwork, but he absolutely loved the feeling of talking to people, understanding their goals, and helping them feel in control of their future. He realized he wasn't passionate about financial instruments. He was passionate about coaching. This completely shifted his search toward career coaching and corporate training, a path he never would have considered from his accounting desk. His test drive saved him from pursuing a career that was a bad fit and illuminated one that was a great one. Okay, after all this research, the interviews, the test drives, you're going to have a mountain of notes and ideas. It can feel overwhelming. So we need to organize it. Create what I call a career possibility matrix. It's just a simple spreadsheet. Each row is a potential career you've explored. The columns are the data points you've collected. A realistic salary range, the day-to-day tasks, the skills required, the potential for growth, and most importantly, a personal energy score. A rating from 1 to 10 of how genuinely excited and energized you feel when you think about doing that work. Laying it all out like this transforms a confusing mess of feelings into a clear, logical picture. You might find that a high-paying job you were considering has a low energy score because the daily tasks sound draining. You might find a role you'd never heard of before has a slightly lower salary to start, but the day-to-day work scores a 9 out of 10 on your energy scale. This matrix isn't about letting a spreadsheet make your decision. It's about honoring both your head and your heart, using objective data to inform your gut feelings. By the end of this process, you won't have a single perfect answer, but you will have something much more valuable. A short list of 2 or 3 well-researched, well-vetted, and genuinely exciting possibilities. You've moved from "I'm stuck" to "I have options." And now that you have these promising options in front of you, the next logical question is, what do I already have, and what am I missing to actually get there? How do you build a bridge from where you are now to where you want to be? That bridge is built by understanding your transferable skills, and that's precisely what we're going to map out next. Your past is not an anchor, it's a propellant. And the fuel is every single skill you've acquired over the last 20 years. The biggest mistake people make at this stage is believing they have to start from scratch. That they're at the bottom of a new mountain, looking up, with nothing but the clothes on their back. That is a myth. A dangerous, paralyzing myth. You are not starting from scratch. You are starting from experience. Think of it like this. A master chef who decides to become a food scientist isn't throwing away their culinary expertise. They're leveraging their deep understanding of flavor profiles, chemical reactions in cooking, and ingredient sourcing to excel in a new domain. They aren't starting over. They're pivoting with a massive advantage. You are that master chef. Your career, up until this point, has been your kitchen. Now we just need to take inventory of all the incredible ingredients and techniques you've mastered. These are your transferable skills. They are the skills you've developed in one context that have value in another. They are the universal currency of the professional world, and they fall into 2 main categories. First, you have your hard skills. These are the teachable, measurable abilities. Things like speaking a foreign language, proficiency in a specific software like Salesforce or Adobe Photoshop, data analysis, budget management, or coding in Python. They are the what you can do skills. Many people new to a field think these are the only ones that matter, but they are often the easiest to learn and, in many cases, only part of the puzzle. The second, and arguably more critical category for a career changer in their 40s, are your soft skills. These are your interpersonal attributes, your character traits. Think leadership, communication, conflict resolution, emotional intelligence, resilience, adaptability, and complex problem solving. These aren't taught in a weekend workshop. They are forged in the fire of experience. They are the skills you develop by navigating difficult bosses, leading a team through a crisis, persuading a skeptical client, or juggling 10 competing priorities on a Tuesday afternoon. These skills are priceless, and they are what make you a valuable hire, not a risky one. So how do we find them? We're going to conduct a career autopsy. Don't let the name scare you. This is an investigation into what made your career live and breathe. I want you to get a notebook or open a document and list every job you've had since college. Yes, even the summer job lifeguarding or the one waiting tables. Every single one. For each role, I want you to ignore your job title. The title is a box, your experience is a landscape. Instead, answer these questions for each position. What problems did I solve? What did people always come to me for help with? What projects did I lead, even unofficially? When did I feel the most effective or proud of my work? What was a major challenge I overcame? Let's take a common example. Sarah was a retail store manager for 15 years. On the surface, her experience seems locked into one industry. She feels stuck. But let's perform the autopsy. As a store manager, what did she really do? She didn't just manage a store. She managed a multi-million-dollar profit and loss statement, which is financial acumen. She hired, trained, and developed a team of 20 employees, which is talent management and human resources. She analyzed daily sales data to optimize inventory and staffing, which is data analysis and operations management. She handled escalated customer complaints, turning angry customers into loyal ones, which is high-stakes client relations and conflict resolution. She designed store layouts to maximize sales, which is visual merchandising and marketing strategy. Suddenly, retail store manager transforms into a portfolio of powerful transferable skills: financial management, HR, data analysis, operations, client relations, and marketing. Sarah isn't a retail manager starting over. She's an experienced operations and people leader looking for her next challenge. Do you see the power of this shift? Now, let's take it a step further with the skill deconstruction method. Go back to your list of accomplishments, those moments you felt proud. Pick one. Let's say your accomplishment was organize the annual company conference. Okay, let's deconstruct that. Organizing a conference isn't a skill. It's a project that required dozens of skills. You had to create and manage a budget, that's financial planning. You had to source and negotiate with vendors for the venue, catering, and AV equipment. That's contract negotiation and vendor management. You had to develop a marketing plan to drive attendance. That's marketing and communications. You had to coordinate speakers, create a schedule, and manage the event on the day. That's project management and logistics. You had to lead a team of volunteers or staff. That's leadership and delegation. One bullet point on an old resume just exploded into 5 or 6 high-demand skills that are relevant in almost any corporate environment. Do this for 3 or 4 of your biggest accomplishments. I want you to fill pages with these deconstructed skills. Don't judge them, just write them down. Once you have this massive brain dump of skills, your next step is to categorize them. Create buckets like leadership and management, communication, analytical and data skills, project management, and technical skills. Start sorting your skills into these buckets. As you do this, patterns will emerge. You might realize that even though you were an accountant, a huge chunk of your skills falls under communication, because you spent years explaining complex financial data to non-financial stakeholders. You might be a nurse who discovers a deep well of experience in project management, from coordinating complex patient care plans with doctors, specialists, and families. This isn't just an exercise in boosting your ego. This is about building the bridge. Now, take out that list of potential new careers we talked about in the last part. Pick one. Go online and find 5 to 10 job descriptions for that role. We're not applying yet. We're gathering intelligence. Create a simple 2-column chart. In the left column, copy and paste the key requirements and responsibilities from those job descriptions. In the right column, I want you to match them with the skills you just uncovered from your own career autopsy. The job description asks for experience managing cross-functional teams. You look at your list and write, led the conference planning committee, coordinating with marketing, sales, and IT departments. It asks for strong analytical skills and experience with data-driven decision-making. You write, analyzed weekly sales reports to adjust inventory, resulting in a 15% reduction in waste. It asks for excellent client-facing communication skills. You write, handled all top-tier client escalations, retaining 95% of at-risk accounts. You are translating your past into the language of your future. You are proving to yourself, first and foremost, that you are not unqualified. You are differently qualified. Your experience isn't irrelevant. It's the unique foundation that number 25-year-old competitor can possibly have. They have the theory, you have the scars, the wisdom, and the proven ability to get things done in the real world. How you frame your story is everything. You are no longer just a teacher. You are an expert in curriculum design, public speaking, stakeholder management, and performance metrics. You are no longer just in customer service. You are a specialist in client retention, de-escalation, and user feedback analysis. This process will do 2 critical things. First, it will give you a profound, evidence-based confidence that you can't get from just reading a motivational book. You will see in black and white how much you bring to the table. Second, and just as important, it will illuminate the gaps. As you do this mapping, you will inevitably find required skills in the left column that you can't honestly match in the right column. Maybe every job in your target field requires proficiency in a specific software you've never used, or a certification you don't have. Do not panic. This is not a stop sign. This is a roadmap. Seeing the gaps isn't a sign of failure. It's the beginning of a concrete plan. You now know exactly what you need to learn. You've identified the missing planks in the bridge. You have your inventory of strengths. You have a clear-eyed view of the gaps. The question is no longer, can I do this? The question now becomes, what is the most strategic and efficient way to acquire the few missing pieces? That's not a mountain of overwhelming change anymore. That's a manageable, targeted to-do list. And building that plan is exactly what we're going to tackle next. So let's build that plan. This is where the rubber meets the road. It's the moment you stop being a dreamer and start being an architect of your own future. A plan transforms vague anxiety into focused action. And we're not going to build some ridiculously complex 50-page business plan that you'll look at once and then shove in a drawer. We're going to borrow a concept from the world of tech startups, the minimum viable product or MVP. A startup doesn't try to build the final, perfect, feature-loaded version of their app on day one. They build the simplest possible version that solves the core problem for the first group of users. We're going to do the same thing for your career. We're going to build your minimum viable career change. The question is not, how do I become the perfect, most qualified candidate with 10 years of experience overnight? The question is, what is the absolute minimum set of skills, experiences, and connections I need to acquire to become a viable candidate for the first entry point into my new field? This reframes everything. It's not about perfection. It's about becoming qualified enough to get your foot in the door. Your minimum viable career change plan rests on 3 pillars: skill acquisition, experience acquisition, and network cultivation. Let's break down each one. First, Pillar 1, skill acquisition. This is about closing that gap we identified earlier. Your options here range from a full-scale military invasion to targeted guerrilla warfare. The heavy artillery is formal education. This means going back to school for a degree or a major recognized certification. For some fields, this is non-negotiable. You can't become a registered nurse, a therapist, or a lawyer without a specific degree and license. But for a vast and growing number of modern professions, a 4-year degree is a bazooka when a well-aimed rifle will do. At 40, with a mortgage, a family, and responsibilities, a multi-year 6-figure investment needs to be a last resort, not a first step. So let's talk about the guerrilla tactics. Non-formal education. This is the world of online courses, professional certificates, and boot camps. Platforms like Coursera, edX, and LinkedIn Learning have partnered with top universities and companies like Google, IBM, and Meta to create industry-recognized certificates in fields like data analytics, UX design, project management, and digital marketing. These can often be completed in 3 to 6 months, not 4 years. They are laser-focused on the practical skills employers are hiring for right now. Then you have boot camps. These are intensive, immersive programs, often lasting 12 to 24 weeks, designed to take you from zero to job ready in a specific tech field like software engineering or data science. They can be expensive, but the return on investment can be significant if you choose a reputable one. The key here is to look at job descriptions. Are they asking for a specific degree, or are they asking for proficiency in Python, Figma, or Salesforce? More and more, it's the latter. In the skills-based economy, proof of skill often trumps a traditional credential. Pillar 2, experience acquisition. This is the big one. It's the classic career changer's paradox. I can't get a job without experience, but I can't get experience without a job. This is where you have to get creative and proactive. Waiting for someone to give you permission to gain experience is a losing strategy. You have to create it for yourself. The most powerful tool in your arsenal is what I call a bridge project. A bridge project is a self-initiated project that you undertake to demonstrate your newly acquired skills in a real-world context. It serves as the bridge between your old career and your new one. Let's say you want to move into digital marketing. Don't just list a Coursera certificate on your resume. Find a small local business or a nonprofit you admire whose social media presence is, well, terrible. Offer to run their social media for free for 3 months. Track the metrics. Document the growth in engagement, followers, and website clicks. At the end, you don't just have a certificate, you have a case study, a tangible result. I grew X accounts engagement by 300% in 90 days by implementing A, B, and C. That is infinitely more powerful to a hiring manager. If you're moving into data analytics, find a fascinating public dataset from a site like Kaggle or data.gov. Analyze it. Find an insight nobody has talked about. Create compelling visualizations. Write a blog post or a LinkedIn article about your findings. You are now a data analyst who has done data analysis. If you want to be a UX designer, find an app you use every day that has a clunky, frustrating interface. Redesign it. Create mock-ups showing how you would improve the user flow. Build a portfolio piece explaining your design choices. You are literally doing the job before you have the job. Another path is strategic freelancing or volunteering. Don't just raise your hand for anything. Seek out short-term gigs on platforms like Upwork or TopTal that are directly related to your target role. Even 1 or 2 small, successful projects can serve as powerful proof points and testimonials on your resume. Finally, don't overlook your current job. Is there an opportunity to start a new project or join a team that touches on your desired field? Could you volunteer to help the marketing team with their data analysis or help the product team with user research? This is the lowest risk way to gain experience, and your company might even pay for your training. Pillar 3, network cultivation. You can have the best skills and the most impressive bridge project in the world, but it won't matter if it's sitting in a folder on your desktop that no one ever sees. You need to connect with people in your target industry. Now, I know the word networking can make your skin crawl. It conjures up images of awkward mixers and forced conversations. So let's reframe it. You are not networking. You are on a mission to learn. Your goal is not to ask for a job. Your goal is to have conversations with people who are already where you want to be. People love to talk about their work and share their story. You're just giving them an opportunity to do so. Here's a simple, actionable plan. Go on LinkedIn. Find 10 people who have the job title you want at companies that interest you. Do 5 minutes of research on each one. Look at their career path. Did they write an article? Did their company just launch a new product? Then, send them a personalized connection request and a brief message. Something like, "Hi Sarah. I was so impressed with the recent launch of Project Phoenix at your company. I'm currently a project manager in the healthcare space, and I'm exploring a transition into tech. Your career journey is really inspiring, and I was hoping you might be open to a brief 15-minute virtual coffee chat in the coming weeks. I'd love to learn more about your experience." That's it. It's respectful, specific, and it's a low ask. Not everyone will respond, but some will. And those conversations are gold. You'll learn about the industry, the culture, the real challenges, and the specific skills they value most. And most importantly, you'll move from being a random resume in a stack to a human being, a known quantity. Finally, we have to put this all on a timeline. A plan without a schedule is just a wish. Don't try to plan out the next 2 years. The world will change. You will change. Think in 90-day sprints. What is a realistic, achievable goal for the next 3 months? Grab a calendar or a simple spreadsheet. In month 1, maybe your goal is to complete the first 2 modules of that Google Data Analytics certificate and have 2 of those informational interviews. In month 2, you start your bridge project and have 2 more conversations. In month 3, you finish the project, publish it to a simple online portfolio, and start tailoring your resume. Breaking it down into these bite-sized weekly and monthly goals makes the entire process feel less like a terrifying leap and more like a series of manageable steps. You now have the 3 pillars of your plan: a strategy for acquiring skills, a method for creating experience, and a system for building connections. You have a framework for putting it all on a timeline. This is your blueprint. This is the map that will guide you from where you are to where you want to be. But a map doesn't show you the terrain. It doesn't prepare you for the steep climbs and the unexpected storms you'll face along the way. And the biggest, most challenging obstacle isn't out there in the job market. It's the one that lives inside your own head. It's that nagging voice of doubt, of fear, of feeling like a fraud. It's the imposter syndrome. And in the next part, we're going to learn how to face it and how to win. It's the most sophisticated saboteur you will ever face because it knows all your weaknesses. It has access to your deepest insecurities. It's a ghost in your own machine. And if you let it, this imposter syndrome will convince you to stay put, to play it safe, to abandon your career change before you even truly begin. It whispers that your 40 years of life and experience are a liability, not an asset. It tells you that the fresh-faced 25-year-old with a brand new degree is more qualified than you are. It's a liar. And today we're going to expose its lies and give you the weapons to fight back. Let's talk about someone we'll call David. For 18 years, David was a rock star in the world of hospitality management. He ran a high-end hotel, managed a team of over 100 people, balanced multi-million-dollar budgets, and could solve a 5-alarm crisis with a calm demeanor that was legendary. But the late nights, the constant stress, it was taking a toll. He wanted a change. He'd always been fascinated by logistics and supply chain management, the intricate dance of getting things from point A to point B efficiently. So at 42, he did the work. He took online certification courses, he devoured books, he learned the software, he networked. He was ready, or so he thought. He'd sit down at his laptop, find a promising-looking logistics coordinator position, and open his resume. And that's when the voice would start. Asterisk, a hotel manager? What do you know about freight forwarding? They're going to laugh you out of the room. All these other applicants have degrees in this stuff. You're a tourist. A fraud. Asterisk, he closed the laptop, feeling a pit in his stomach. The confidence he had managing a chaotic hotel lobby completely evaporated when faced with a simple job application. David wasn't fighting a tough job market. He was fighting himself. This feeling is the hallmark of imposter syndrome, and it thrives on a few core toxic lies. The first and most powerful lie is this: Everyone else belongs here, but I don't. You look at job descriptions, you look at people's LinkedIn profiles, and you see a perfect linear path. It feels like everyone else got a secret instruction manual for their career, and you lost your copy. Here's the truth. That's a curated illusion. Almost no one, especially the most competent people, feels like they have it all figured out. In fact, there's a well-documented cognitive bias called the Dunning-Kruger effect. In simple terms, it often means that the people with the least amount of knowledge are the most overconfident, while true experts are keenly aware of how much they don't know. That feeling of, wow, there's so much to learn here, isn't a sign you're an imposter. It's a sign that your awareness is expanding. It's a symptom of intelligence, not inadequacy. The second lie, and this is the one that cripples career changers at 40, is, my past experience is worthless. David believed his 18 years in hospitality were a sunk cost, a backstory he needed to hide. This is fundamentally wrong. We need to reframe this. Your decades of experience aren't just relevant. They are your unique, uncopyable competitive advantage. This is what I call the transferable skills multiplier. You're not just starting from scratch. You are adding a new technical skill on top of a mountain of proven soft skills and professional wisdom. Think about David. For 18 years he practiced elite-level problem-solving, negotiation, customer relations, and high-pressure team leadership. A recent graduate might know the textbook theory of supply chain, but David knows how to calm down an irate supplier whose shipment is stuck in customs. He knows how to motivate a team to work overtime to meet a critical deadline. He knows how to manage a budget when unexpected costs arise. He's not a hotel manager trying to be a logistics coordinator. He is a master of operations and people management who is now specializing in logistics. See the difference? It's not a pivot, it's a specialization. You're not erasing your past, you're leveraging it. Your history is your superpower. The third lie is the perfectionist trap. I have to be perfect from day one or they'll know I'm a fraud. This pressure to perform flawlessly is paralyzing. But here's a counterintuitive thought. Your newness is an asset. You have what's called the beginner's mind. You're not burdened by the industry's dogma, by the phrase, that's how we've always done it. You will ask the simple, powerful questions that veterans stopped asking years ago. Why do we use this process? Is there a more efficient way? Your fresh perspective is incredibly valuable to innovative companies. You aren't expected to be the expert on day one. You are expected to learn, adapt, and bring your unique experience to bear on new problems. So, how do we actively fight this internal saboteur? It's not about just thinking positive thoughts. It's about building a case against it with cold, hard evidence. Your first tool is what I call an evidence log. This is a private document, a Word doc, a notebook, a note on your phone. It's for your eyes only. Every single time you accomplish something, no matter how small, you write it down. Finished a tough chapter in your online course? Write it down. Figured out a tricky formula in a spreadsheet? Write it down. Got a nice comment on a LinkedIn post you made about your new field? Write it down. This log becomes your arsenal. The next time that voice in your head says, you can't do this, you're not smart enough, you don't argue with it. You open your evidence log and you read the facts. Fact, on Tuesday I successfully debugged that line of code. Fact, on Thursday I explained a complex concept to a fellow student and they understood it. Fact, last week I completed a project that I thought was impossible a month ago. Feelings are fickle. Facts are stubborn. Your evidence log is your book of facts. Your second tool is to actively reframe your self-talk. The imposter's voice uses definitive, negative language. Your job is to translate it into growth-oriented language. When your brain says, I don't know how to do this, you consciously correct it to, I am in the process of learning how to do this. When it says, I'm not a real project manager, you reframe it. I am leveraging my years of experience in managing informal projects to become a certified project manager. This isn't just semantic games. It shifts your brain from a fixed mindset, which believes abilities are static, to a growth mindset, which knows abilities can be developed. It's the difference between a brick wall and a staircase. Finally, and this might be the hardest step, you have to drag the monster into the light. Talk about it. Imposter syndrome thrives in isolation. It wants you to believe you're the only one who feels this way. The moment you say the words out loud to a trusted friend, a mentor, or a peer in your new field, you know, I'm really struggling with feeling like a fraud right now, its power diminishes instantly. You will almost certainly be met with, oh my gosh, me too. Hearing that from someone you respect and admire is like a splash of cold water. It normalizes the experience. This isn't a personal failing. It's a rite of passage for ambitious people who are brave enough to step outside their comfort zone. Let's go back to David. He started his evidence log. He wrote down every module he completed, every practice interview he aced. He changed his LinkedIn headline from aspiring logistics professional to experienced operations leader with a specialization in supply chain management. He found another career changer in an online forum, and they set up a weekly call just to check in and share their wins and their fears. He started applying for jobs. In his cover letters and interviews, he stopped apologizing for his hospitality background. Instead, he owned it. He told a story about how he once had to source a rare type of flower from another continent for a VIP wedding in less than 48 hours, and how that taught him more about crisis logistics than any textbook ever could. He got rejections, but now they didn't feel like a verdict on his worth. They were just data points. And then he landed an interview with a mid-sized distribution company. The hiring manager said, "You know, we've interviewed a dozen people with logistics degrees, but they don't have your experience managing chaotic, unpredictable environments. We can teach you our software, but we can't teach your kind of composure and problem-solving instinct." He got the job. The feeling of being an imposter may never vanish completely. For many high achievers, it's a lifelong companion, but you can learn to turn down its volume. You can learn to see it not as a warning sign to retreat, but as a compass point, indicating that you are heading in the right direction. It's proof that you're challenging yourself. It's the growing pain of your own evolution. You've acknowledged the fear, you've built your case against it. Now, you need to build the practical tools that will get you in the door. It's time to translate your story and your skills into the two most critical documents of your job search: your resume and your LinkedIn profile. And that's exactly where we're headed next. Let's be honest. For most of us over 40, looking at our resume feels like looking at an archaeological dig of our own life. A layer from that startup in your 20s, a thick stratum from that corporate job you stayed in too long, maybe a few fossilized remains of a side hustle you tried. It's a chronological list of stuff. And the fear is that a hiring manager will look at this jumbled history and see a lack of focus, a liability, not an asset. They'll see the gaps, the zigs and zags, and toss it in the no pile in under 6 seconds. That 6-second window, by the way, is a real statistic. 6 seconds to decide your future. So what do? We have to fundamentally change our understanding of what a resume is. It is not a historical document. It is not a confession of every job you've ever had. It is a marketing brochure. And you are the product. Its sole purpose is to sell one thing: an interview. It's forward-looking, not backward-glancing. It's a targeted, strategic weapon designed to answer the only question the recruiter cares about. Can this person solve my company's problem right now? Your 20 years of experience isn't a liability. It's an arsenal. But you can't just dump the entire arsenal on their desk. You have to select the right weapons for this specific battle. This means you will not have one resume. You will have a master resume, a massive document with every job, project, and accomplishment you can remember. And then for every single job you apply for, you will create a tailored, laser-focused version. First, let's obliterate some outdated rules. The one-page resume rule? That's for college grads. You have 2 decades of experience. A 2-page resume is not only acceptable, it's often necessary to showcase the depth of your value. Don't cut out powerful, relevant accomplishments just to fit an arbitrary page limit. Second, the format. The standard chronological resume that lists your jobs from most recent to least recent can be a death trap for a career changer. It forces the recruiter to read about your last 10 years as a regional sales manager when you're applying for a role in project management. They might never even get to the relevant skills. Instead, you need to become the architect of your own narrative using a hybrid or combination resume. This format is a career changer's best friend. It starts with a powerful professional summary at the top, immediately followed by a key skills or areas of expertise section. This is prime real estate. Right below your name, before they see a single job title, you are presenting them with a curated list of the exact skills they're looking for. You're essentially saying, stop. Before you read my history, know this. I can do the job. You pull keywords directly from the job description, things like agile methodology, stakeholder management, data analysis, content strategy, and put them front and center. Only after you've established your capabilities do you list your professional experience. Now that professional summary, Please erase the phrase objective statement from your memory. Objective: to obtain a challenging position in a dynamic company that allows for professional growth. That tells them nothing about you and everything about what you want. Nobody cares what you want yet. They care about what you can do for them. Your new summary, maybe 3 to 5 lines long, is your elevator pitch. A weak one sounds like this: results-oriented professional with 20 years of experience seeking to leverage skills in a new industry. It's generic fluff. A strong one sounds like this: strategic operations leader with 15+ years of experience in optimizing workflows and leading cross-functional teams to deliver multi-million-dollar projects on time and under budget. Proven expertise in process improvement and change management, now seeking to apply a deep understanding of logistical efficiency to the healthcare administration sector. See the difference? It's specific, it's confident, and it immediately bridges your past experience to their industry. The heart of your resume, however, lies in the bullet points under each job. This is where you translate your past into their future. Every bullet point must be an accomplishment, not a duty. A duty is managed a team of 5 people. An accomplishment is mentored and coached a team of 5 customer service representatives, resulting in a 30% increase in customer satisfaction scores and a 50% reduction in employee turnover. The formula you need to burn into your brain is action verb plus quantifiable result. You didn't just handle the budget. You managed a $2 million annual budget, identifying and implementing cost-saving measures that reduced operational expenses by 15% in 1 year. You didn't just write reports. You authored quarterly performance reports that provided data-driven insights to senior leadership, directly influencing the company's strategic pivot in Q3. Numbers are your best friend. Percentages, dollar amounts, time saved, revenue generated. They cut through the noise and prove your value. Let's make this real. Imagine you're a high school teacher wanting to move into corporate instructional design. Your old resume says, planned and delivered daily lessons to 150 students. Okay, but a corporate recruiter doesn't know what that means for them. Let's translate it. Planned becomes designed and developed. Lessons become learning modules or training curriculum. Students become learners or stakeholders. And we need to add the result. So the new bullet point becomes, designed and developed over 200 hours of engaging training curriculum for diverse learner groups, leading to a 25% improvement in standardized test scores and performance metrics. You've just spoken their language. You've turned your teaching experience into corporate gold. Once your resume is a lean, mean, targeted machine, you turn your attention to its digital twin, your LinkedIn profile. Your LinkedIn is not a copy and paste of your resume. It's the dynamic, living, breathing version of your professional story. First, your headline. This is the most valuable piece of digital real estate you own. Don't just put your last job title. That's like a billboard on the highway that's blank. Use it to declare who you are and where you're going. The teacher we just talked about? Her old headline was teacher at Springfield High School. Her new headline is seasoned educator and curriculum designer transitioning to corporate learning and development, specializing in adult learning theory and performance improvement. Instantly, any recruiter searching for those keywords will find her, and they'll know her exact intention. Next, your About section. This is your chance to tell your story in the first person. Don't be afraid to be a little human. Explain your why. Why are you making this change? Frame it as a deliberate evolution, not a desperate escape. Talk about your passion for the new field and connect the dots from your past experiences. This is where you build an emotional connection. Then scroll down to the skills section. Pin your top 3 most relevant skills for your target career to the top. Then, go through job descriptions you're interested in and add every single skill they mention that you possess. This is all about keyword optimization. You want the LinkedIn algorithm to see you as a perfect match for the roles you're targeting. Endorsements from colleagues in these specific skills add powerful social proof. Finally, recommendations. These are pure gold. Reach out to former managers, colleagues, even clients. But don't just ask for a generic recommendation. Guide them. Ask them specifically, could you write a few sentences about my ability to manage complex projects? Or, would you be able to speak to my skills in client communication and problem solving? You want them to highlight your transferable skills, the ones that will matter in your new career. By transforming these 2 documents, you're doing more than just preparing for a job search. You're taking control of your own story. You're reframing your past not as a random collection of jobs, but as a deliberate journey that has perfectly prepared you for this next chapter. You've built the tools. You've crafted the narrative. You are now, on paper and online, the ideal candidate. But having the best resume and the sharpest LinkedIn profile is only half the battle. You can't just upload them into the black hole of online application portals and hope for the best. That's a strategy for frustration. You need to get these powerful new documents in front of actual human beings. You need to bypass the digital gatekeepers and tap into the hidden job market where the best opportunities are found. And that requires a strategy that terrifies most people, but is the single most effective way to land a job in a new field. It's called strategic outreach. And no, I'm not talking about spamming 100 people with your resume. I'm talking about surgically identifying a handful of key individuals inside your target companies and having genuine conversations with them. It's about making a human connection. Because here's the secret. The applicant tracking system, the ATS, that faceless software that rejects 99% of resumes, it doesn't have a say when a hiring manager gets an email from a trusted colleague that says, "Hey, I just spoke with someone really sharp. You should talk to them." That is the bypass. That is how you leapfrog over the entire pile of digital applications and land directly in the "let's interview" pile. Now, I can feel the anxiety through the screen. Your stomach just clenched, didn't it? The thought of reaching out to a complete stranger, a successful person in the field you want to break into, and asking for their time feels presumptuous. Feels terrifying. Your brain is screaming a dozen different fears at you right now. What if they say no? What if they think I'm an idiot? Why would they ever want to talk to me? I'm just bothering them. This is the great wall of fear that keeps most career changers stuck in the endless loop of online applications, getting ghosted and losing hope. But we have to dismantle that wall brick by brick. And we do it with a critical mindset shift. You are not asking for a job. Let me repeat that. You are not asking for a job. The moment you frame this as a job hunt, you've already lost. You sound desperate, and it puts the other person in an awkward position. Instead, you are on a research mission. You are a student of your new industry. You are seeking wisdom. You are asking for advice. People, especially successful people, generally love giving advice. It validates their own journey and expertise. You're not asking for a handout. You're offering them a chance to be a mentor for 15 minutes. It's a completely different energy, and it changes everything. This process is called conducting informational interviews. It's the single most powerful tool in your career change arsenal. And here's the step-by-step playbook to execute it flawlessly. Step 1. Identify your targets. Who do you talk to? You're looking for your future self. People who are currently in the role you want at a company you admire, who perhaps made a similar career change themselves. LinkedIn is your primary weapon here. Go to the search bar and type in your target job title, let's say, Product Marketing Manager. Then filter by company, maybe a few dream companies you've identified. Now here's the magic. Look through the profiles. Don't just look at the vice presidents with 25 years of experience. Look for people who have been in the role for 2 to 5 years. Why? Because they are close enough to the hiring and onboarding process to remember it clearly. They remember what it was like to be new. Their experience is the most relevant to you right now. Look for commonalities. Did they go to the same university as you? Are they part of the same professional group? Did they transition from a similar field? These are your warm leads. Make a list. A simple spreadsheet with their name, title, company, and a link to their profile. Aim for a starting list of 20 to 30 people. Step 2. The art of the outreach. This is where most people get it wrong. They send a generic self-serving message that screams, "Give me a job." Your message needs to be the opposite. It must be short, respectful, specific, and easy to say yes to. It has 3 core components. First, the genuine specific compliment. "Hi Sarah, I came across your profile and was so impressed by your work on the Project Phoenix launch. The way you articulated the value proposition was brilliant. This shows you've done your homework." It's not generic flattery. Second, the context and the humble ask. "I'm currently a project manager in the healthcare space and am deeply inspired by the transition you made into product marketing. I'm in the early stages of exploring a similar path and would be incredibly grateful for the chance to ask you a few questions about your journey and experience." Notice you're not asking for a job. You're asking for their story. Third, the clear, low-friction call to action. Would you be open to a brief 15-minute call sometime in the next couple of weeks? I'm happy to work around whatever is most convenient for you. 15 minutes is the key. It's a tiny commitment. It's easy to fit between meetings. It's an almost painless yes. Step 3. Prepare for the conversation. They said yes. Amazing. Now do not waste their time. Your goal for this call is twofold: to gather critical intelligence and to build a genuine human connection. You should have a list of thoughtful questions prepared. Do not ask things you can Google. Ask about the human element. Great questions sound like this. What has been the most surprising aspect of this role for you? What does a typical day or week actually look like beyond the job description? What's the one skill you believe is most critical for success here that isn't obvious from the outside? What's the company culture really like when it comes to supporting new team members? And my personal favorite, knowing what you know now, what advice would you give yourself when you were first starting in this field? You are collecting priceless insider information that will help you decide if this path is truly right for you, and B, give you an unbelievable advantage if you do get an interview. Step 4. Conduct the call and build the bridge. Start the call by immediately thanking them for their time and reiterating that you'll be brief and respectful of their schedule. Then listen more than you talk. Be curious. Be engaged. At the end of the call, as you're wrapping up, you ask the single most important question of the entire process. This has been incredibly helpful. Thank you so much. Based on our conversation, is there anyone else you think it might be valuable for me to speak with? This is how you turn one conversation into 3. This is how you start to build a network from scratch. They might refer you to a colleague, a manager, or someone in a slightly different department. And when you reach out to that new person, your opening line is now, "Our mutual colleague Sarah suggested I reach out to you." You're no longer a cold contact. You're a warm referral. This entire process is how you tap into the hidden job market. Studies from the Department of Labor and various research firms consistently suggest that a massive percentage of open positions, some estimates go as high as 70 or 80%, are never publicly advertised. How are they filled? Through referrals. Through someone knowing someone. When a manager has a need, their first move isn't to write a job description and post it online. Their first move is to ask their team, "Hey, do you know anyone good?" By having these informational interviews, you are strategically placing yourself into that exact conversation. You are becoming the someone good they know before the job even exists. Think of Sarah, a 42-year-old regional sales director for a pharmaceutical company. She was burned out on travel and wanted to pivot into a strategy role at a biotech firm in her city. She sent out 50 online applications and got nothing but automated rejections. She felt defeated. Then she changed her strategy. She identified 10 people on LinkedIn who were in strategy roles at local biotech firms. She sent them all a personalized, respectful message asking for 15 minutes of their time to learn about their journey. 6 of them replied. She had 6 15-minute conversations over 2 weeks. In the 5th conversation, the person mentioned, "You know, our team is probably going to be looking for someone with your kind of commercial background in the next quarter. The job isn't even posted yet, but my director was just talking about it. You should talk to her. Let me connect you." 1 week later, Sarah had a conversation with the director. 2 weeks after that, she had a formal interview for a job that never made it to a public job board. She got the offer. She didn't get the job by being the most qualified applicant in a database. She got it by being a known, recommended human being. This isn't about luck. It's about a system. It's about replacing passive hope with proactive strategy. And it does something more important than just finding you a job. It systematically destroys imposter syndrome. With every conversation, you gain more knowledge. You learn the language of your new industry. You validate that your existing skills are, in fact, transferable. You prove to yourself that you can hold your own with people in the field. You're not just building a network. You're building an unshakable foundation of confidence. So when you finally do walk into that formal interview, you're not an outsider trying to break in. You're an informed peer, ready to have a conversation at a much higher level, armed with insider knowledge that no other candidate possesses. And that brings us to the main event, the interview. This is the moment where all your research, networking, and self-reflection comes together. For a career changer in their 40s, the interview isn't just a Q&A session. It's a performance. It's a strategic conversation where you control the narrative. Forget the idea that you're there to beg for a chance. You are there as a seasoned professional presenting a unique solution to their business problems. Your age and diverse experience are not liabilities. They are your superpower, and it's your job to make them see it. To do this effectively, you need to master 3 core stories. Every question you're asked, from "tell me about yourself" to "where do you see yourself in 5 years?" is an invitation to tell one of these three stories in a different way. The first and most critical is your why story. When they ask why you're making this change, they're testing you. They're looking for red flags. Are you running away from something? Are you burned out? Is this just a whim? A weak why story will sink your chances faster than anything else. A powerful one will make you the most compelling candidate in the room. Your story must be positive, intentional, and forward-looking. Never talk about how much you hated your old boss, your toxic company culture, or how bored you were. Frame it as a pull, not a push. You aren't being pushed out of your old career. You are being pulled toward a new one by a magnetic force of interest and passion. Think of your career as a series of dots. Your job is to connect them in a way that makes this new career the logical, inevitable next step. For example, let's say you were an event planner for 15 years and now you want to move into user experience or UX design. You don't say, "I was tired of dealing with demanding clients and long weekends." You say, "For 15 years, my entire focus was on designing an experience for a person from the moment they got an invitation to the moment they left the venue. I obsessed over every detail, the flow of the room, the clarity of the signage, the ease of registration. I realized that what I loved most wasn't the logistics, but the human-centered design aspect of it. I was essentially a UX designer for physical spaces." This career change is about taking that deep-seated passion for creating seamless, enjoyable human experiences and applying it to the digital world, which is where the future is being built. See the difference? One is a complaint, the other is a powerful origin story. It shows insight, connects your past to their future, and demonstrates a genuine long-term commitment. Spend time crafting this story. Write it down. Say it out loud until it feels natural and authentic. It's the foundation of your entire interview. The second narrative you must master is your transferable skills story. This is where you bridge the perceived experience gap. They're looking at your resume and thinking, "Okay, a high school principal wants to be a director of operations at a tech startup. How does that work?" It's your job to show them, not just tell them. And you do this with stories. Don't just list your skills. Anyone can say they have leadership or communication skills. A person in their 40s proves it with evidence. Use the STAR method: situation, task, action, result. It's a simple framework for telling a compelling story that demonstrates your value. Let's take that principle. The interviewer asks, "Tell me about a time you managed a complex project with a tight budget." The principal doesn't say, "Well, I managed a school." They use STAR. "At my previous school situation, we were facing a 15% budget cut, while also being mandated to integrate new educational technology into every classroom." Task: "I led a cross-functional team of teachers, IT staff, and parent volunteers to solve this. Instead of buying expensive new hardware, I initiated a bring-your-own-device program, reallocated funds to bolster our network infrastructure, and secured a grant for professional development to train teachers on free, open-source educational software. As a result, we successfully rolled out the new technology initiative under budget by 5% and saw a 10% increase in student engagement scores within the first year." In that one story, the principal just demonstrated budget management, strategic planning, team leadership, resourcefulness, and the ability to drive measurable results. They didn't say, "I'm a good leader." They proved it with a concrete example that any hiring manager, in any industry, can understand and respect. Go through your past career and identify 5 or 6 of these core stories that highlight your key transferable skills: project management, stakeholder communication, conflict resolution, mentoring junior team members. These are the experiences that a 22-year-old just doesn't have. They are your competitive advantage. The third and final story is your value proposition story. This is the unspoken narrative that answers the hiring manager's secret question: "Why should I hire you over a younger, likely cheaper, candidate who has more direct experience in this field?" You have to address this head-on, without ever mentioning age. This story is about de-risking the hiring decision for them. You are the safe bet. You are the high-return investment. Your value proposition is built on maturity, stability, and a breadth of experience that allows you to see the bigger picture. You can weave this into your answer for, "Why should we hire you?" You say something like, "While I may be new to the specifics of this industry, I have a 20-year track record of walking into complex situations, quickly identifying the core challenges, and delivering results. My experience in your old field taught me how to manage difficult personalities, navigate corporate politics, and stay calm and productive under immense pressure." I'm not just looking for my next job. I'm looking for my next career. I am making a deliberate long-term commitment to this field. This means I'm highly motivated to learn quickly. I require less hand-holding, and I can start adding strategic value far beyond the initial job description from day one. You're not just getting a new job title. You're getting a seasoned problem solver with a unique perspective that can help your team avoid blind spots a traditional candidate might miss. This framing changes everything. You're not the risky career changer. You're the low-risk, high-reward strategic hire. Now, beyond these 3 core stories, you need to be prepared for a few specific landmine questions. One is, how would you feel about reporting to someone younger than you? This is a test of your ego. The only correct answer is one that shows humility and respect for expertise. I believe in respecting the role and the knowledge that comes with it, not the age of the person holding it. My goal is to learn from my manager's expertise in this area, and to support them and the team in achieving our goals. Throughout my career, I've had great working relationships with people from every generation, and I'm eager to learn from a new leader. Another one is, this role might be a step back in terms of title or seniority for you. How do you feel about that? Reframe it immediately. I don't see it as a step back at all. I see it as a critical and exciting first step onto a new path I'm passionate about. I understand and respect that I need to build a new foundation in this industry, and I'm excited to roll up my sleeves and master the fundamentals. My previous leadership experience simply means that once I'm up to speed, I have the potential to take on more responsibility and contribute at a higher level, which I believe is a long-term benefit for the company. Finally, when the interview is drawing to a close and they ask if you have any questions, this is your final opportunity to shine. Don't ask about vacation time or benefits. That comes later. Your questions should demonstrate your strategic thinking and your focus on performance. Ask things like, what does success look like in this role in the first 3 to 6 months? Or what are the biggest challenges this role will need to tackle in the first year? You can also show you've done your homework. I saw that the company recently launched X initiative. How does this role directly support that goal? These questions position you not as a job seeker, but as a strategic partner who is already thinking about how to solve their problems. After the interview, always send a thank you note within 24 hours. But don't just make it a generic thanks for your time. Reference a specific point in your conversation. Reiterate your enthusiasm and in 1 or 2 sentences, connect one of their stated needs back to one of your unique transferable skills. It's one last chance to tell your story and remind them that you are not just a candidate. You are the solution they've been looking for. And now you wait. This can be the hardest part. The silence. The self-doubt that creeps in. But this is also where your maturity becomes your greatest asset. While a younger candidate might frantically check their email every 5 minutes, you can use this time for strategic reflection. You review your notes. You think about the questions you were asked and the ones you asked them. You continue exploring other opportunities, because you are not desperate. You are discerning. You are interviewing them just as much as they are interviewing you. When the call for the next interview comes, remember this. The dynamic has shifted. They've seen your resume, they've read your cover letter. They are interested. This is no longer an interrogation. It's a conversation to determine mutual fit. Your goal is not to pass the test. Your goal is to see if this is a place where you can truly thrive for the next chapter of your career. Walk into that room or log into that video call not as a supplicant but as a consultant. You are an expert in your accumulated experience. They have a problem, a role that needs to be filled, a team that needs a certain skill set, and you are there to collaboratively explore if you are the right solution. Listen intently. More than half of a successful interview is understanding the unspoken needs of the company. What is the manager truly worried about? What is the team's biggest challenge right now? Your questions will be different from a 25-year-old's. They won't just be about vacation days or the next promotion. You'll ask about the team's communication style, the company's financial health, the strategic vision for the next 3 years, and how this role contributes to that vision. These are the questions of a partner, not just an employee. And let's address the elephant in the room: age. They can't ask you how old you are, but the thought might be there. They might wonder, can this person keep up? Can they adapt to new technology? Can they report to a manager 15 years their junior? Do not wait for them to ask. Proactively weave the answers into your stories. When they ask about a challenge you overcame, tell them about the time you led the adoption of a new software platform that streamlined your old department's workflow, saving them thousands of hours. When they ask about working on a team, tell a story about mentoring a junior colleague while also learning a new skill from them, demonstrating your ability to both lead and be led. You don't say, "My age is an asset." You show them through compelling, concrete examples that your experience is the very thing that makes you more adaptable, more resilient, and a faster learner than anyone else they'll meet. Your history isn't baggage. It's a library of case studies of success. Then comes the offer. And with the offer comes the negotiation. Many people, especially those who have been in one company for a long time, are terrified of this part. They feel grateful just to have an offer and are afraid to rock the boat. This is a mistake. A company expects you to negotiate. A reasonable, well-researched negotiation is a sign of a confident professional who knows their worth. This is where your life experience pays dividends. You're not just negotiating salary anymore. You're negotiating the total value of your life at this company. Think bigger. Consider the 401k matching program. A 1% increase in the company match could be worth tens of thousands of dollars over the long term. Look at the health insurance plan, the deductibles, the premiums. This has a real, tangible impact on your family's finances. How much paid time off are they offering? At this stage in your life, time can be as valuable as money. Is there an opportunity for a flexible or hybrid work schedule? What about a professional development budget to ensure you stay on the cutting edge? Do your research. Use online resources to understand the salary band for this role, in this industry, in your geographic location. But more importantly, use the network you've been building. Talk to people in similar roles. Armed with data, you can enter the conversation not with demands, but with a collaborative spirit. You can say something like, "I am very excited about this offer and the opportunity to join your team. Based on my research for a role with this level of responsibility and the value I know I can bring to your key challenges, I was anticipating a compensation package closer to this range. Can we explore how we might bridge that gap, perhaps by looking at the base salary or a potential signing bonus?" It's a calm, professional, data-driven conversation. And remember, you've spent months building a financial runway. This gives you the ultimate power in any negotiation. The ability to respectfully walk away if the offer isn't right. You are not choosing a job for the next 2 years. You are choosing the environment for the next decade. It has to be right. And when you get to that number, that package that feels right, that honors your value and sets you up for success, you accept. Take a moment to feel it. The validation, the excitement, the relief. You did it. You navigated the uncertainty, you battled the self-doubt, you put in the work, and you made it happen. All those late nights updating your resume, all those awkward networking conversations, all the fear of the unknown, it was all worth it. But the journey isn't over. In many ways, it's just beginning. Your first 90 days in the new role are critical. This is your integration phase. Your goal is not to come in and change everything on day one. Your experience might tempt you to immediately point out inefficiencies and propose grand new strategies. Resist this urge. Your first goal is to listen, learn, and build relationships. Think of yourself as an anthropologist studying a new culture. Understand the communication norms. Who holds the real influence regardless of their title? What are the unwritten rules of the workplace? Schedule one-on-one meetings with your new colleagues and your manager. Don't make it about you. Make it about them. Ask them, what's the biggest challenge you're facing right now? What does success look like in your role? How can I best support you and the team? Your second goal is to secure a quick win. Find a small nagging problem that you can solve within your first month or two. Maybe it's an inefficient spreadsheet, a confusing report, or a process that everyone complains about. By solving it, you quickly demonstrate your competence and your value as a problem solver. You start building a reputation for being effective and helpful. This builds trust, and trust is the currency of any successful career. Embrace what is called the beginner's mind. Yes, you have 20 years of experience, but you have 0 years of experience at this company in this role. Be humble. Ask questions. Don't pretend to know things you don't. People are far more willing to help someone who is genuinely curious and eager to learn than someone who acts like a know-it-all. Your humility, combined with your deep well of experience, is an incredibly powerful combination. It makes you approachable, respectable, and effective. Looking back, the path you've just walked is one of transformation. It started with a quiet feeling of discontent, a question of, is this all there is? It led you through a deep exploration of your own identity, your skills, your passions. You had to confront your fears, the fear of failure, the fear of judgment, the fear of starting over. You had to become a student again to be vulnerable to ask for help. This journey was never just about finding a new job. It was about redesigning your life. It was about reclaiming your narrative. It was about proving to yourself and to the world that your 40s are not an ending. They are a launchpad. It's the decade where your experience and your ambition finally converge with wisdom. You know who you are, what you're worth, and what you want. You're not chasing trends or trying to impress anyone. You are building a career and a life of genuine meaning and purpose on your own terms. The person you are today is not the same person who started watching this series. You've replaced uncertainty with a plan, fear with action, and stagnation with momentum. The road ahead won't always be easy. There will be days you feel like an imposter. There will be moments you miss the comfort of the old and familiar. But you will have the resilience, the self-awareness, and the strategic plan to navigate it all. The story of your career is not over. You've just finished a powerful and important chapter. And now you get to write the next one. The page is blank. The pen is in your hand. Make it a masterpiece.